This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Views expressed on the following program do not necessarily match those of WPSL. However, we are the ones that encourage you to like and share them on social media with all your friends and neighbors, because it's time for Joanne's World of Nutrition, brought to you by Nutrition World in downtown Fort Pierce and hosted by Joanne Seeger.
Wow, you never get bored of that, do you, sir?
No, the great introduction.
I love it. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's having a fantastic morning. I am absolutely loving this morning because I have one of my favorite guests on, Burt Goulding Jr. from Positive Power Nutrition and clinical nutritionist. So I hope we have some newbies that can enjoy this information. It never gets old. You know, the health of the body is pretty simple if we don't overlook it and just use all the tools that we have right at our fingertips. So Burt explains really well how to use all these tools, as well as has the clinical experience. So he's working with real people every day. So this is someone that you might want to pay attention to and take some notes. Sometimes I forget to take notes and I leave the station, and 10 minutes later I'm like, wait, what did he say? How many drops? Which way? So please take notes and take some from me too, okay? All right, Burt, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly.
Oh,
yes,
good.
Happy Zoom call, right?
I know.
This is awesome. I love it. I love seeing your face. It's as happy as I imagine it would be. All right, so Burt, you know what we have to do first, right? Remember?
Yeah.
The breath work. All right, so if there's any newbies, thank you for joining us this morning. It's very simple but really important. So breath work is just an exercise, like we exercise all the muscles in our body. Breath work is just taking this, shallow breathing that it seems that a lot of us do to a more deeper breath using your nose. We're going to breathe in for 5, hold for 5, exhale for 5, and because I want to cover lots of info, we'll only do 2 rounds, okay? So let's exhale out anything that doesn't feel comfortable in our body, stress, tension, worries. Drop the shoulders, relax your ears. Let's breathe out. Okay.
Now intake through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Slowly release. 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, in. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Slowly release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I hope everyone participated. And remember, you could keep doing this the whole show, and you will feel incredible after.
Or when you need it, it'll ward off a panic attack.
Yes. I mean, there's a lot of different breath work exercises you can do, longer exhales to help release anxiety. But yeah, check it out on YouTube. There's tons of great practitioners that have wonderful exercises. So Burt, what's happening with you and your 10 kids and your beautiful wife, and how's life?
Life is great.
It's good?
And I always look forward to talking to you when we do a radio show together. So this is a special morning for me.
That's wonderful. I love it. I love that you're so receptive in your busy day to fit me in. So I so appreciate it. Burt, I thought of a way to do today's show a little different than the others if you are up to it, okay? So, every day, like you, I deal with real people with real issues. And so they're coming in, and sometimes I feel sometimes not so worthy of when they come in. It's like, well, I've been to every doctor throughout the country, but so can you help me with this, on the floor, in the store, in 5 minutes, right? But there are some interesting questions that have been put on the store floor lately. So I was hoping you could maybe give me some insight or your insight to it, your intuitive insight. Does that sound okay?
I'd be happy to.
Wonderful. But first, I must tell you, Matthew, my husband, has been using your super circulation factors. And I don't know if you remember, but the last couple shows, I mentioned that he was having the flushing, I wasn't, and we were having a little competition, like who's flushing and who's not. But his neuropathy on the end of his fingertips, and, he's a young man, and it has improved it significantly. Now, once you say something, he follows. So you said the number 8, so he does take 8 pills. Now, I think he's going to start cutting back now, like you suggested. So I figure we start with that conversation, because the amount of people coming into the store saying that their body feels very strange. They're not only not feeling their fingertips or their toes. For years, 30 years, it was usually I get the tingles or the pins and needles on the bottom of my feet. That's usually where the conversation ended. But now I have so many people saying all over they're having sensory issues, their fingertips more than ever, sometimes even on their scalp, like they feel like something's not there. And sometimes I've had that experience where my glasses are up there and I don't even feel them. So what would you say to all these people feeling that way?
I hate to say this, but this is a very serious issue. This is not just a small thing. What we're getting with that kind of, oxygen that's not getting to various parts of the body is that it's really related to pH imbalances. Okay, now it kind of forms a vicious cycle. Is that if you start out with a low pH in the clear fluids of your body, that leads to low oxygen levels. And then low oxygen levels makes you even more acidic. And then the more acidic you are, the lower your oxygen drops. So it's interesting you would start with this, because I thought, well, today if I'm on Zoom, I might as well bring over here a fingertip pulse oximeter.
I keep it at the register every day.
It's so important for people to test and see what the oxygen level is getting to the extremities, because we think of, obviously you would put it on the end of your finger, you would push the button, and it would start to give you a reading.
Okay, Burt, I'm going to interrupt real quick. So if my listeners, because if they're not watching us live, they don't see this part. So Burt is holding up a pulse oximeter reader. They're available online, very inexpensive. I keep one at the register so customers can use it when they pop in. But it's very inexpensive. They're simple to use, and they have the same technology as when you go to the doctor's office. All right, go ahead, sir.
Yes, in early 2020, when the beginning of the lockdowns and all the virus problems that were going on, there were several people on television news that were interviewing doctors that said, just like you have always had a thermometer in your home, you've probably had it in your home your whole lifetime, and your parents, your grandparents, everyone else, that the new family medical item that everyone should have is that fingertip pulse oximeter. So what happens is that when you get that kind of tingling, when the oxygen isn't getting to the end of the line, and especially when we talk about the extremities, that would be fingers and toes, but not everyone thinks of extremities in the body being the brain. But because of how many thousands of miles of brain neurons that we have all inside of our head, our skull, 25% of our oxygen that we take in every day is used just by the brain.
Wow.
That's a fourth
a lot.
of it. Yeah, so for people that are getting tingling on the scalp now, or numbness on the face, or whatever that is, that's an indication that they really need to test their oxygen levels, and they need to get pH balanced so that at least it breaks that vicious cycle of going from low pH to low oxygen to worse pH to worse oxygen. You can break that cycle. Now, one of the things you were mentioning, your husband is taking the super circulation, the advanced formula with all of the herbs, and had gotten up to 8 capsules a day, which is what I had done. I'd gotten up to 8. And then after a while, I could take the 8 without feeling any of the niacin flush. But that niacin flush with the slight redness and the feeling at the skin level, that's indicating that the capillaries, which are the smallest blood vessels in our body, those capillaries are starting to open up and let through blood. And it could be that a person hasn't had good blood flow through capillaries in various parts of their body for decades.
Yeah, and we're excited because Matt has had 3 tests done to show that he didn't have the methylation process happening, and his hands and feet were not getting circulation. So we had conventional tests done, and we did thermography. We've done it all. And so we're going to go back in October and retest, and I know it's going to look better. I can just tell, living with him, that things are definitely better. So I'm excited about that. I'll definitely have you on the show after we get those remarkable results back.
Well, and if there's any way that you can get the thermography pictures of before and after, I would love to look at those.
Oh, yes, I will definitely send them to you.
Yeah. That really shows very, very clearly what the blood flow is to all parts of the body.
Yeah, it was really scary because you saw, a human body, but you didn't see hands and feet. Like, they were just blue. Like, there was it was no circulation there at all, and so it's scary.
Has he started taking nattokinase?
Yes, he takes natto. You should see his bucket, Burt. He's got a lot of stuff going. But, he had a history of some things. And as a young man, we have in 4 years have really corrected a lot of it. So this would be the one that we're working on now. Just seeing, there you go. Seeing if within less than a year if this can be corrected, because I think that would be miraculous, and I would definitely share that with everyone. So
that's great. Yeah.
All right, so continue on about that niacin flush, sir. Sorry to interrupt.
No, not an interruption. With the niacin flush, when it helps open up the capillaries, which is one of the things that vitamin B3, which is niacin, real niacin, will do. Now, a lot of people that are taking niacin or vitamin B3 and feel like, I don't like the feeling of that flush, which is kind of sad because it's so important to feel that the blood is finally getting to that part of the body. But they're taking a vitamin B3 that is niacinamide, which is a non-flush form of niacin. But with real niacin, it just is so important.
I know. I don't even carry the niacinamide. I don't even waste people's time with it.
Good.
It's just not worth it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the flushing is the magic.
It really is. And did you get to the points where you started to feel the flush? You said that he was and you were not?
A little bit. Like, it's nothing like him. Like, his whole face turns red like a tomato, and gets a little tiny bit of itching. Where me, I know it's happening. It's like a warming sensation, but not unpleasant at all. I love it.
At what level of how many of the capsules of the super circulation
1.
do you start to feel? Oh, at 1, okay.
1, yeah.
Okay.
So I call myself a lightweight, very sensitive to everything. So I've been staying at the 1. Do you think I should go up to 2? Do you think?
I don't know. As soon as a person no longer really feels the flush, if it's very mild, then they might want to try 2, but I would space them out. I remember one time I had a good friend that said, well, I did 1 and it's been an hour, I haven't felt anything. So they went ahead and took 2 at the same time, and then they turned bright red. Everybody said, are you sunburned?
Oh, yeah.
It has that kind of a look temporarily.
I know. I remember the first time he took it, we thought he was having an allergic reaction. We were like, okay, what's happening here? But now, yeah, we love it. But Burt, so you also put an incredible combination of so many of my favorites in the super circulation factors. Not only do I feel like circulation is everything, like you said, the oxygen, the capillaries, but you put alpha lipoic. Like, could you kind of describe how some of those nutrients would help? Oh, there's your bottle. I love it. Help with maybe what people are feeling with the numbness in the fingers and the pins and needles in their feet, those type of things.
Well, the super circulation comes with the bright red cap here in a glass bottle. It comes in capsules okay, not tablets. And the herbs are in a special capsule, which is a fermented tapioca starch. It's a pull-along capsule, so it's the most pure. And you can tell because it's crystal clear. When you take it out, you can see the contents inside the capsule like the clearest glass window you can imagine. So, yeah, it has red-rooted sage, English hawthornberry, ginkgo leaf, butcher's broom, conidium, motherwort, ginger root. And these are not in small amounts. One capsule has 400 milligrams of the red-rooted sage. So it's in it's concentrated 10 to 1, so that you can get all of these things in there. There's horse chestnut, cinnamon, cat's claw, bilberry leaf, white willow bark, cayenne, and polycosanol, which comes from sugarcane, and it's a polycosanol that has 10% octocosanol in it, which is just amazing as far as helping oxygen the red blood cells get to every part of the body. Just the polycosanol, I have people that buy this just for the polycosanol component,
Right.
which is not huge. There's only 10 milligrams of that. But it has all those things plus 2 amino acids that are essential for good circulation. L-arginine, which everybody realizes, and then L-citrulline, which is the precursor to L-arginine in the body. So you've got enough of those 2 amino acids that you've got something that'll start working right away, plus the L-citrulline can be converted by your body into L-arginine when needed throughout the day.
I love it. As you're going through the ingredients, I'm thinking brain health, eye health, libido, everything. I mean, you've pretty much blood sugar, insulin resistance. You're really covered a lot. But the circulation is kind of important, right? Just a little.
It really is. And people will call me up and describe that they're thinking more clearly. And I thought, yeah, it's amazing what your brain will do when it's actually getting the blood that it's required. Required.
I don't know if you've ever had the experience, but just sometimes if like I give myself even just a little neck massage or just like do a little breathing and just relax, I'm like, wow, I can think better. So if something as simple as that can help your brain, could you imagine getting more capillaries and blood flow to your brain, right? To me, it's common sense. It's absolutely.
It was one of the things when I was maybe a couple of years ago, I was feeling dizzy, especially lying down in the bed or sitting up quickly or standing up, dizziness. And I think, well, I know what that is. That's low mineral levels, low electrolytes. So I went ahead and did that. And I thought, well, it's not improving. And so I tried everything. And finally, when I went to my massage therapist, and she does deep tissue massage, sometimes I can feel it for days after one session. But she went ahead and started working at the base of the neck, and she said, oh my goodness, all of the muscles at the back of the neck, at the base of the neck, were so completely, she said, I can hardly even get them to unknot or to release.
To release, yep.
So to release those muscles, when it finally happened, the dizziness cleared up immediately that day.
Isn't that incredible? Yep.
It was just, she says, it's not just the blood getting into the brain, it's the fact that it has to get back out. And so you've got different muscles around the arteries going into the brain and other muscles that are different around the veins coming out. But again, if blood circulation means not just blood that's there, but that's circulating.
Yeah, it has to move to the right places. Well, I love that the conversation has started not only online, but in health food stores and practices like yours about vagus nerve. I have to admit, for the longest time, I never even knew what that was. And then all of a sudden now everyone's talking about it and how, massage and just relaxation techniques can help that. So that's identified. Because like I said at the beginning of the show, right, it's a toolbox. It's not just about taking a product. It's about everything in your toolbox, your lifestyle, your family, the whole works. And so that's why I love it, because you stand for all of that. And so I love having you on. All right, so circulation factors. We have so many other good things to cover, but so if you are listening and you basically feel like something's happening with even the touch of your skin, like couple fingertips just don't feel like they always used to, or you can't get that brain focus, like you feel like there's a little numbness happening, or your feet are tingling, you go to step and you don't even feel your foot, you need to really give some consideration to circulation immediately. You don't want to procrastinate and put that off, because it's critical that you keep circulation in mind, because not only will that sensation go away, but you'll also get nutrients delivered properly. You know, waste products leave properly. So it's like this whole system. And Burt, you mentioned pH. I hope I have some newbies listening. Can you do just the quick 101 on pH and why I personally take Cell Power every day for years?
Sure.
Okay.
The pH stands for the acidity or alkalinity of a liquid. So it only applies to liquids. And so we're not talking about the pH of your blood, because your body keeps that in a very, very narrow pH range. And it buffers it by pulling calcium out of your bones in order to buffer it to become too acidic. But anything that's a low pH is very acidic. Anything that's a high pH is very alkaline. So the dividing line right in the middle, a perfect balance of alkalinity and acidity, where they're equal, is at 7 on the scale. So from 0 to 14 is the normal scale. And so a 7 would be, some people call it neutral, but it's not neutral. It's 50% acidity and 50% alkalinity. Now, you want to test the clear fluids of your body. Now, in spite of the hundreds of books that have been written about testing urine pH, it just doesn't give you an accurate picture of the human body. It just doesn't. It gives you somewhat of a good picture about kidney health, but not as to what your true acid or alkaline state of the body is. And you want all of your clear fluids, which we're going to test on saliva. So we do a fasting saliva test. So when you say fasting, people think, oh no, how long do I have to go without food? We're only saying 3 hours or longer. So the easiest way to do it, because people are nibbling and munching without even thinking it. They go, I didn't have any food in the last 3 hours. Then they test their saliva pH, and it's not an accurate test. So the easiest way, and I would assume you do the same thing at your house, is to do it when you first wake up in the morning. So we do it, you just do it once a week. So on Sundays, my wife and I, we both get up, and before we eat or drink anything, before we brush our teeth, you know, we have an alarm set on our phone, and it's telling you, test your pH. So we go over and get a plastic picnic spoon. And so it looks like this, if you're able to see it.
Okay.
A plastic picnic spoon, and you get actual clinical grade test strips. Now, these are called Power of pH test strips. So it's just like what you use in the laboratory. And you want your saliva to come in between 7.1 to 7.4, which is just slightly alkaline, not a lot. But once you're in that healing range, 7.1 to 7.5, 7.1 to 7.5 is the pH healing range. Once you're there, the body can heal very quickly. And we're talking about huge things. For a person who's able to stay in that range for 4 months, we're finding that even serious things like diabetes will disappear. Now, you know, doctors may say, well, you're just in remission, but okay, that's good enough for me.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
definitely.
the fact that all the symptoms will go away with fibromyalgia, even arthritis, all of the, I mean, 90% of all illness and all disease that's ever been given a name, ever been cataloged, out of all the, I guess they're up to 18,000 different illnesses and diseases. Each year it grows in number. Not that there's more diseases, but there's just more names for them.
Exactly.
But 90% of those are directly pH related. 90%, including heart attacks and strokes. For a person who's pH balanced on a fasting saliva test of between 7.1 to 7.5, it's physically impossible to have a heart attack or a stroke. No one's ever had a heart attack in that range, and no one's ever had a stroke. Now, it's not that there aren't a lot of heart attacks and strokes, but that's because 95% of the U.S. population is in the acidic range. They're below 7.0.
Right.
Sometimes as low as 5.0. When I first got pH balanced 18 years ago, I was 5.25 when I first tested. I didn't even believe the results. I had to test 3 different times before I would believe it. So.
Right. I know sometimes it's hard to stay in that right pH, but I know that you have the cell power and other little suggestions. So if anyone's about to, oh, by the way, everyone, I do sell those pH strips from Positive Power. They're awesome because they're not paper. They actually are sturdy, so you don't make a mess. You just dip that into the spoon. It stays sturdy. And how long do you hold it into the saliva again, Burt? On the spoon?
Well, it used to be 45 seconds, but now there's rapid test results. It's only 15 seconds.
Oh, that's incredible.
And you kind of want to move it back and forth in the saliva rather than just hold it under.
Okay.
But kind of move it back and forth, time it 15 to 20 seconds. You take that out. You would then gently blot the color end with the 2 color squares on a napkin.
Okay.
Don't grab with a napkin and pull, because then you've wiped out the strip. But
okay.
You just want to gently blot it so that it doesn't have the liquid, and you hold it under a good light, and make sure that you match that to the color chart, and then write it down immediately. And I know you're thinking, oh yeah,
I'll remember. Yeah,
it's 6.5. I'll remember it. But no, so many things go into your mind, you're not. And you want to put that on like a calendar or a chart, because if you do, and you do it just once a week and you track it, you're going to find out whether your lifestyle and your full combination of everything you're trying to do for your health, whether that's leading you towards better health, whether you're stuck, or whether it's leading you away from better health. Believe it or not, there are a lot of things that people hear, from their friends, or they read on the internet, or they get, whatever, as saying, oh, to be healthy, do the following. And so they go, okay, I'll do that. But it may not work. It may be that it's already been disproven, or that it shortly will be. So what you want to do is that weekly pH test will let you know if what program you just started is working for you or not working for you. And
well,
that's the only thing that matters.
My listeners can sacrifice 1 minute once a week to get a little insight on their health and a little peace of mind. To me, it's rewarding when you see the color is, like you said, 7 or a little higher. It's very rewarding. You're like, wow, all that hard work paid off, instead of waiting once a year for an annual, which really doesn't even show you the true picture of health. All right, so that's promising for the ones that get the right number and color, Burt. But then there's some of us that might not have a great lifestyle. So what do we do at that point? So we're maybe 5, maybe a little higher. We're freaking out because of the color. What do we do?
Well, you have a supplement there in your store, which is Cell Power. It comes in a 1 ounce concentrate bottle or a 2 ounce. This is the 2 ounce size. So the directions on it is to shake it lightly, then remove the cap, and then you would go ahead and take a glass and just put 4 drops. It's a little squeeze bottle. You put 4 drops into the glass, fill it up with purified or distilled water, and that's 1 serving. And for adults, the ideal amount to help a person get their pH starting to move in the right direction and to help them get completely pH balanced would be 6 servings a day.
Okay.
So that means that this is a 16-ounce glass that I have in my hand. I've been drinking here as we've been talking. And, you want to do at least 6 of those a day. And then maybe a glass or 2 after that, which is just plain purified water. Okay. But that's what you want to do to help get pH balanced. For me, it only took 2 weeks, but that was a long time ago. That was 18 years ago. I've been testing pretty much every week for that period of time, 18 years, with my wife. And I've only, up until a year ago, I was only out of range 3 times in 18 years.
Oh, maybe a little extra stress in our environment? A little worldly stress affect you?
Yeah, I'm sure that could have been part of it, but I've learned how to do the deep breathing. I was not acidic. When I was out of range, I was too alkaline. This was about a year ago.
Oh,
and
okay.
It was such a mystery because that's so rare. I kept trying to figure out what is it. I mean, Cell Power will not, it doesn't alkalize your body. It doesn't make you too alkaline. So I knew something else was happening. In that case, I found out that I was just doing it to myself. I had some plastic aligners in from the dentist to try to kind of help my teeth straighten up and get straight.
Okay.
And you're supposed to only keep them in like 21 hours a day. And but every week you're supposed to change them. And I would sometimes keep them in longer a week, thinking, well, the teeth really haven't moved, so I would keep it in maybe 2 weeks. Or it would say, oh, take a soft toothbrush and gently clean the aligner underwater. I would be doing that, and I found out that it was taking off the protective coating, and the plastic inside those aligners, if you get rid of the protective coating, was actually poisoning me and causing that my pH was going up to 7.8, 7.9, even hit 8.0 one time.
Wow.
So your pH will give you hints as to what's going on. I wouldn't even have known until a person reaches 8.25 and they start having unexplained vomiting and diarrhea and dizziness that won't go away and all of these terrible symptoms of being too alkaline. Until that happens, I wouldn't have known. But because I was testing weekly instead, I thought, I don't understand why the last 3 weekly tests have been too high.
Wow.
You know, I would have thought it wasn't real, but my wife said, well, mine's fine. You know, she didn't have the plastic lighter. She goes,
Right.
My pH is great. So.
Wow. So yeah, it's funny because my brother did that later in life, you know, to help shift his teeth, and then he gave up, and they all just went right back. So I hope that journey goes well for you. But yeah, it's crazy what might be in those things, huh? It's like scary.
You know, but it's as long as I followed directions, it was great. Which is, you know, I found out don't use a soft toothbrush, even though they said you could if you had to. And make sure I switch them out every week, whether or not I feel I'm ready. Okay. But, you know, that's just an example of just one thing. It could be that a person, you know, has been told, well, if you would just, you know, run 4 miles a day, you'd be much healthier. So if they're testing their pH on a weekly basis, they start running 4 miles a day, and after a week when they test their pH, if they're more acidic, it may just be too much for you right now. Or maybe you need to increase your hydration. Or maybe you need to run every other day instead of every day. I mean, even something as healthy as walking or running, if done to an extreme, and you may not think it's an extreme, but for you it is. Again, the pH balance is individual to each person. It's going to let you know that even if you think you're doing something really, really extremely healthy, it might be having a bad effect on you. So it's slow down, take a little bit, you know, sometimes it's great to jump in with both feet, and sometimes it's, you know, stick a toe in and then go down the steps slowly into the pool.
Right. And on that exact subject, if you can emphasize, there might be some listeners that are like, oh, well, I don't think I could drink that much water, so maybe I'll just triple up on my drops and put it in one glass. Can you kind of emphasize the importance of the water ratio to the drops?
Yes. If you're buying a concentrate, just 1 2-ounce bottle of Cell Power has 320 servings. Okay, so you can't put more than 4 or 5 drops into a 16-ounce glass. Now you can always do more water, but basically, in order to make the Cell Power up, in order to save you 90% on the price, you know, it's very inexpensive to put the drops in a glass of water. You can always go with more, but you're adding hydrogen and oxygen to the concentrate in order to fully form the supplement.
Okay.
Once it's in, so you can't do that. I've had people say, well, I don't understand why it's not working for me. And I said, are you drinking a glass of 60 ounces? Oh, yes. They go, but I can't drink that many. And then just what you said. So I put 24 drops, you know, which is all 6 servings in that one glass.
Yep.
They said, is that bad? And I said, not if you drink 5 more glasses of
right after
plain water right after. You're fine. Your body will be able to handle it.
Yeah.
But it's best that it's the right number of drops and the right amount of water.
Yes. And I love that because it does help encourage people to just drink water and not their sweet teas and iced teas and energy drinks and coffee, which I'm doing good, Burt. I don't know if you remember, but every time you say that coffee is on one of the top 10, you know, acidic lists, I'm doing really good. I'm having like 89% less. I was at 0, and then now I have a little tiny bit. So.
Well, you know, I'm sure you carry in your stores, there are different coffee substitutes that a person can learn to kind of mix it up so it gets right to the flavor and right to the temperature that they want.
Oh, yeah. We use it every morning with the little bit of real coffee.
Okay. Yeah, it makes a huge difference, and because you don't want to be overwhelming the body with acids it can't deal with. And the coffee bean has 208 different acids, 208, none of which are in the healthy range for the human body. None of them are compatible with humans. Now, that's why we get this energy burst, because our body is basically saying, how do I run away from this 208 acids that's killing me?
Right.
And so we got this, this energy burst and go, oh, wow, great, I love this energy. Well, you can get the same thing by going over to your next door neighbor that has a pit bull and teasing it. You'll get that same energy burst as you run down the street and climb a tree. So, I mean, that's pH balance is extremely important for everything. It's what allows the pancreas to start functioning normally again. If your pH balance, it's what allows the brain to work the best. Even eyesight. I have people that say, I finally, I started out at 6 or 5.75, and it took me, usually takes 4 to 10 weeks if you're doing the 6 servings of Cell Power every day. And I tell people, just start out where you're at. If you can't drink that much water, then just do the best you can. And if you say, well, now I can, just increase gradually. But they'll find that once they get pH balanced, the eyesight improves, because pH definitely affects the retina, the macula, the lens, the iris, every part of the eye.
Definitely. And the other thing I want to mention, which was a sad moment when you were on my radio show about talking about sparkling waters. Besides caffeine, that was my evening entertainment. As I was trying not to consume alcohol, I would have a nice big wine glass looking of sparkling bubbles. And can you tell the listeners how you made me very sad that other time?
I'm sorry. No,
it's all right. I'm still very happy, Burt. It's okay. Don't worry.
Well, what happens is that when you force carbon dioxide into a liquid in order to make it sparkling, I love the name they give sparkling. They don't want to say that it's highly acidic water, which is probably a more
they make it look so
sparkling.
Glamorous,
Yeah. What will happen is when you force that into it, it creates carbonic acid. So a person is drinking straight carbonic acid 100% into their body, and it really overwhelms the body. Now, it takes a lot more volume than, say, a cup of coffee, but all of the soda companies have accommodated us. It comes in a 2-liter bottle, because by the time you've had 2 liters of it, it's just as bad as having 2 cups of coffee. So what will happen is that, sparkling waters, soda, pop, colas, whatever it is. Now, the only difference is if it's naturally carbonated. I think there's probably only one thing that's sold on planet Earth that comes right out of the earth, naturally carbonated. It doesn't have the same effect. Now, if you want to know how bad a cola tastes, all you do is, you leave some in your glass, and when you get up the next morning, I've had people walk downstairs and they go, oh, and they see the color of cola and they grab it, they go to drink it, they go, ah, right?
Yep.
The first thing you say is, oh, it tastes terrible. They go, oh, that's because it's flat. No, that's the way it always tasted.
Yeah.
What happens is that those carbon dioxide bubbles fool your taste buds. It's actually pulling one over on you, saying, hey, this doesn't taste so bad. As soon as you get rid of the carbon dioxide, your taste buds go back to normal, and they say, this is awful. Who would drink this?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Definitely feel like it's very easy to get hooked into like this addiction of sparkling drinks. I mean, there would be moments where I'd be like, wait, no, you don't need that. Just drink water. But it's hard. It's like this. It's like every day I get people saying, oh, you should bring in this line of sparkling waters. It's energy. It's brain power. I'm like, no, it's synthetic, bad poison junk, but we get hooked on it. My children do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a $1 trillion industry, right? But we could have, we could talk about that for 10 more hours. All right. So Cell Power, I love that it's super affordable. All your products are very affordable, so I applaud you for that, where you have amazing products for very good pricing, and again, your clinical nutrition experience behind them, where you're using them not only for your very large family, but in your practice. But the next one that is my absolute favorite, I want to make sure we have time to cover it, is the Super Silica drops. I have to admit, I had a hard time in the beginning introducing them, because I was like, Cell Power, Super Silica, I struggled with it. Still today, I still sometimes don't know which one, but I am leaning more towards Super Silica now, because I'm a female. postmenopausal. I'm like, hair, skin, nails, tissues, and I really think I feel and see the difference. I mean, I think my customers think so too. So, all right, so tell us why silica is so important for not only females, but man, baby, humans in general.
Yes. Well, what happens is you mention hair, skin, and nails, but then you need to just continue on and say spine.
Oh,
Discs.
spine. That's important too, right?
The discs, if you see someone that they're saying, oh, well, the reason that they're kind of stooped over and hunched over all the time now is because of their age. No, it's really because they've lost so much silica that the discs aren't working, and sometimes you lean forward to try to get rid of the back pain. The spine is too close together, but hips, knees, all of those things. Silica is an essential trace mineral that's found in larger quantities in brown rice and raw cabbage. It has, it's in Brazil nuts, it's in baked potatoes, it's those types of things. But we're just not getting enough. People used to get a lot of silica. So in the last 30 years, it's getting worse and worse. And as you know, Joanne, there are 11 levels of silica deficiency. So the one that most people have will be damaged hair, skin, and nails. Okay, but I've been drinking enough super silica over the past almost 20 years that I have to trim my fingernails twice a month. I mean, they get really long, but that's a good indication to me. I kind of smile and think, well, I've got plenty of silica in there. So silica is for all of the connective tissue and all of the bones. Now, what does that mean? It's good for the bones in the spine as well as the connective tissue, which are the discs. It's good for the bones in your mouth, the jawbone, and the teeth, as well as the connective tissue, which are the gums. It's amazing. I had a good friend that started taking super silica as a supplement. His body put it to work where it needed it the most, and in the period of 6 months, he went from very deep pockets when he would have his teeth cleaned, and they would test to see, how much the gums were receding. Within 6 months, they all started filling in, and pretty soon he goes, everybody at the dental office saying, what are you doing differently? What are you doing? How do you do this? It's your body needs extra silica. It's the most concentrated amount of silica, because you don't need very much in every cell, but the most silica that's in any cell in the human body are in the macula cells, which are the cells right in the center of the retina. That's one of the last things to go, because your body's not going to borrow the silica out of the macula cells until it's already borrowed as much as it can out of the bones and the connective tissue.
Okay.
It affects veins, arteries, the heart muscle itself, as well as the nerves. I mean, there's more silica in nerves than almost anything else, but the macula is part of where the optic nerve ends. It's the ending of the optic nerve in the eye. So the nerves need silica.
Okay. And I think maybe some listeners right now are like, okay, well, this sounds like an overall head-to-toe supplement. Would that be something that someone should wait to see a deficiency? Because unfortunately, and I am to blame for this one too, until like you all of a sudden have a clump of hair in your hand or your nails start chipping away, we might not think of the heart or the spine. Like when you said spine, I'm like, oh, duh. Like, yeah, my hips, I mean, critical. But you hear stories all the time until someone slips in the bathroom and all of a sudden goes to, the doctor and find out their hip, needs replacing. There's no, bone density anymore. So is this something that someone can take like every day as a preventative?
Well, yes. It's interesting because I haven't found anyone that doesn't have at least one of those 11 silica deficiency symptoms. I mean, I guess theoretically somebody doesn't have any of those, but we're talking about spider veins, varicose veins, irregular heartbeats. So-called autoimmune disorders really are a severe silica deficiency. So when you're talking about with women, something as serious as a prolapsed uterus is so much silica related. For men,
Burt, go back to that. That is a very, very important topic to me. Tell me why there's this strong connection with the prolapsed uterus, please.
because what holds the uterus and the bladder and everything inside of the body holds it in place where it's supposed to be so that it doesn't prolapse or drop or fall towards gravity are ligaments. And those ligaments are made up of collagen, a very special collagen, I mean, more than anywhere else in the body, and that if you don't have enough silica, they start getting longer. They stretch out. There's not any strength in it, and so you've got this problem. Now, it's also hormone related, so you need to get your hormones going. But I always tell people that first you want to get pH balance and hydration balance. That's number one, because that will handle 90% of the possible problems that you could have. Number two would be mineral balance, and that's where silica is in there, along with magnesium and all of the good minerals that a person needs to have, selenium and zinc and silver and all of the good minerals.
Right.
That would be the second. Number three would be work on hormonal balance, because if you try to work on your thyroid or any of your hormones before you get number one and number two done, before you get the pH and the mineral balance done, all you're doing is spinning your wheels. You're just wasting your time almost. I have people that say, I've been working on my thyroid and taking the best supplements and following the best advice I can for 10 years. I said, well, has everything gotten better? No, I'm so frustrated it hasn't. Well, it's because they didn't take care of the pH first and the mineral second. As soon as you do that, the hormonal balance will happen on its own automatically in 50% of the people. The other 50% need to work on it, but at least they'll see results. And then the fourth level of balancing is energy balancing. And you do so much of it at your store. It's amazing. The energy balance includes massage therapy and the detox foot baths, which you're actually
infrared sauna, PEMF. All at my wellness center. Just a quick plug.
It's all on energy balancing, which is you have to have it to get completely better.
And Burt, you'd be excited to know that next week I have a pelvic floor specialist coming in. She's been on twice already, Becca Ironside, and that's what we're going to talk about, prolapsed uterus and prolapsed bladder and blah, blah, blah. And, no one talks about this. Now that I'm postmenopausal, like I'll ask privately with friends and they'll, oh, yeah, I have this, I have that, but no one talks about it. It's like this little hidden secret here. So I'm so glad you brought that up.
And what's really sad is that the only surgical solution that I hear is just remove everything. They call it
which
a full
doesn't
hysterectomy.
even solve it, because you got to keep your bladder there, So
well, and now you just have an empty space for all the other organs to begin falling in, because all of the organs, your liver, your stomach, heart, everything, your lungs are kind of supported because they're inside your ribs, and that's part of the skeletal frame, but all the other organs that are in there just start dropping.
Yep.
And it's really a big problem. So I'm glad you're going to be talking about it.
Definitely. My hope is that one day insurance companies will say once a year, mandatory pelvic floor exam for females, because sometimes it might be cost, All right. 5 minutes left, Burt. Your choice. What do you want to talk about? You've covered everything so well so far.
Well, you asked me about how silica works with men, and I didn't really get into that.
Okay.
But one of the things is if men are going to the gym and doing weightlifting of any kind, whether it's free weights or whether it's a weight machine, starting around age 35. Now I'm hearing it as young as 25 or 22, is that they'll be doing a bench press, and as they're pushing the weight up, against gravity, as they're lying down, they'll start to hear a clicking sound in their elbows. Okay, it's just, click, 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 it's almost like a snap, crackle, and pop type thing. And it starts to kind of bother them, and they can feel it. And if they're doing, you don't need to do 6 servings of super silica. For adults, it's 4 servings. If they're doing 4 servings of super silica in less than a week, all of that snap, crackle, pop is no longer heard. What it means is that it's helping not just with the tendons and the ligaments and the cartilage and all of the connective tissue, but it's also helping with the synovial fluid. Because silica draws water or liquid towards it, it means the more silica that you get in your body, when it gets into those joints like knees and elbows, you are starting to create more synovial fluid and pull it into where you need it. So I just thought I'd at least
That's a phenomenal way, because I know so many people that get that crackle pop noise, just rolling their shoulders or just doing, I don't know about where you are in California, but in Florida, pickleball has become like this whole addiction here. Everyone I know plays pickleball. So yeah, a lot of older people trying to get back out there, being very active, but yes, their bodies are getting stressed. And so you got to really protect yourself. So super silica, cell power, super circulation factors, test your pH. I love your idea. First thing Sunday morning, just get that plastic spoon out, 1 minute of your day. No big deal. Burt, so coffee, sparkling water. If you were to name one more thing that people should be really cautious about in their day-to-day, like something really to take note of in their lifestyle, what would the third thing be?
Well, higher on the list would be tobacco and black tea, but probably for most people, it's the quantity of table sugar and fake sugars that they're consuming. They may say, well, I don't even have any table sugar, and I never put a spoonful into sugar. But it's in so many products, you just have to watch out. And then there's this confusion of trying to tell you that the sugar that's in a natural apple that you're eating or an orange or something is the same. It's not the same. No. We're talking about even table sugar that says it comes from sugar cane has been processed 15 times to fill it with heavy metals and aluminum. It is so toxic and so poisonous. The sugar itself would be poisonous as to what it does to the pancreas and the adrenals. But I would just say that avoid, especially the fake sugars. Stay away from all the synthesized sugars.
Yeah. Well, I love this ending. It's a hard thing to do, but everyone, you can do it. And remember, all those little sugars add up. And there are supplements that are being sold, especially in big box stores, that are full of sugars to make it look more appealing or taste better, or the colors. So if you're going to do something healthy for yourself, please be careful and read labels. Burt, always a pleasure. I'm hoping I see you next month. All right. So you take care and have an awesome week.
Thanks, Joanne.
All right. Bye, Burt. All right, everyone. So definitely check out the Wellness Center. We still have the $99 special, an hour massage, infrared sauna, ion for detox, PEMF, $99. Come in 2 hours and you'll feel incredible. Thanks, everyone. Check out Becca next week. Bye.
Visit Joanne's World of Nutrition in downtown Fort Pierce, right across from City Hall, US 1 at Orange Avenue in the Krass Square. This is WPSL, Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast. And don't forget that archives of this show are on YouTube under WPSL TV.